Hello, it's Lasher here again from the workbench. Today we're going to go over doing some fading using pan pastels, artist pastels. You can get these from Amazon, your local hobby store, eBay, pretty much about anywhere that sells art supplies. This is a very nice, compact little container of the pan pastel. It's not really chalk. It's reminds you of makeup, the way it is packaged and as smooth as it is. So here we're going to go over the one set I have here today. I have multiple colors of it. This color combination is their grayscale. So we have all the tones from bright white all the way over from a light gray to a medium gray to a dark gray to a black. So you got your total tonal scale with your grayscale. So I had a request to do this video from a gentleman in Switzerland. I probably shouldn't say his name, but I don't know if he would mind or not, but I kind of heard him on a podcast. He was from Switzerland, and he was on the podcast. And it's a very good podcast. It's a very well-known podcast for monorail owners. And he was talking about he was interested in weathering locomotives and freight cars and all kinds of stuff. And it sparked my interest because that's one of my favorite things to do is do some weathering. So I decided to kind of look him up, and it really sparked my interest when he said he was into Norfolk Southern, because I do a lot of Norfolk Southern equipment, a lot of Conrail, CSX, a lot of the modern day stuff. That's kind of my favorite thing. I kind of do an era. It's a really wide era. I do an era from 1976, which is the year I was born, to present day. So it's a pretty long span. That's 48 years. So I've been in the hobby for quite a while. Been in the hobby since as long as I can remember. I've loved trains. I grew up beside some railroad tracks, so that's kind of sparked my interest. And my father really was into trains also, so that was the other very sparked my interest, was helping my dad. So I guess we'll get started here on this. This is one I've done a number of years ago. This is a MTH-9. This is probably, I'll have a love-hate with this model because it's an MTH. So I did refitted it, everything. I ended up having to put a new motor in this thing, new trucks. I got them from MTH, but it was all new, a new motor. It had failures, trucks had failures. So I completely rebuilt this thing. Has ESU V5 in it, custom speaker, enclosure, all the 9 yards. Has all the lighting is redone and LEDs. So it's a really good model, and I did toaster, GE toaster on it, which is the burn mark here from a turbo fire. So what we're going to go over today is we're going to go over the panel fading, on how we get this light and dark contrast on a unit. A lot of these NS units, this is how you see them. There's a lot of sun bleach, just a lot of the grime settles up on the top, and it gets baked off, rain. It just gives a really good feel on the top of these locomotives of kind of how they look. So we're going to go over today on how we achieve this look. And it's really not difficult to achieve. It just takes a little bit of time, just like everything else, a little bit of patience. So in this locomotive, it's a black locomotive. It was dull coated, and I believe I sprayed just a touch of white on this one. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, because a lot of this has a lot of this effect pretty much all over the whole locomotive, but it did have a little bit of white sprayed on it. But the number one key is a flat finish to start. So we're going to go on, we'll go over on how we did this today. I got a demonstration locomotive here that we'll be working on. So you'd think you want to do white, would be doing white, and that's not the case. The white works, but it's too white. So I don't really go with the white. I usually go with this more of the light gray, or I use this darker gray. But on this case, we're going to use the lighter gray. The darker gray works too, but I feel the lighter gray on this, I don't know the part number of it. I can probably, I'll put the cap on this and turn it over, and it'll probably say what color it is. Get the cap on it so we can turn it over so we don't dump all the powder out. So it looks like it is natural gray tint. And there's your pan pastel part numbers and everything you need to know. All right, so that's the color we'll be kind of working with here. So we'll get these other ones out of the way. We will be using this black. We won't be using this gray, but it's actually they say it's a gray. Looks pretty blue to me. And they have this colors that they have in this line is so many. I have the whole stack up of the rust. It has all the different rust colors. I have blues, I got reds. There's just so many combinations. And you can mix them together and make your custom colors. You can fade about any color of paint. It's a pretty cool product. I really enjoy it. And they're 40 bucks for a container of like 6 of them. And they're like $6 a piece, I think. But that was the last time I looked, and that was a few years ago. I'm sure they're increased in price like everything else has. So we'll get started here. We'll go over some of the things to apply it with. So we got micro brushes. Those work really well. This stuff really likes soft brushes. So makeup brushes, like go to the Dollar General or your Walmart or any store that sells makeup products and get these makeup brushes. They're really soft. They're got a nice tip on them. They're nice and round, really smooth. There's all kinds of sizes of them. This one's got like a chisel. We're not going to be using that. It looks like an eyeliner, but they're not overly expensive. You can get a couple of them for a couple dollars. Some are $1 a piece, some are more. There's another chisel one. We got bigger ones, we got double-ended ones. They work really well. We got a bigger feather out one. So we got all kinds of brushes. So let's get this camera to refocus again. That's the worst thing about this thing. So we got all kinds of stuff here. So we can get started here. We'll go over on what we're gonna achieve today is we're gonna see how we have this lighter lighter patches and darker patches, and how we have it outlined on everything. And on the nose, it's kind of shaped. It's on the sides. Kind of outline some of the doors. The grills back there, got them highlighted. Looks like some heat, so it looks like a little bit of heat. Kind of bleached it out. This obviously is the exhaust. A little bit of black around that. This rust. This will be a... I would have to do a separate video on how to do this. This is a real fun, a really fun thing to achieve. It's not all that difficult to do, but it does take a little bit. It takes a lot of, there's a lot of layering to get that to where it does that, and then you can still see the panel lines in there, how they're outlined. It's a pretty cool process, and I modeled this like they just kind of fixed it, repaired, they repainted, put a new horn on it because it's all re-black, and they're just out running it. It's a fresh, represent a fresh one. I've seen them where the rust is a lot darker, light like that, all different shapes and sizes of those burn marks. It's kind of a signature GE thing. Not a whole lot of EMDs have that problem. I think maybe some of the SD70s kind of do that, but mostly it's a GE thing. So I guess enough rambling about that. We can get on to what we're going to do. We'll kind of get this out of the way. I'll kind of set this off the side. And we'll bring in, this is just a test shell. It's an old, can't even think of the name of the company now. It's a junk locomotive. It's a Spectrum, Bachmann Spectrum. Don't even know the actual locomotive's name of it. H10 or something, H9, I don't know, something like that. But so what we're going to go over is this top of this locomotive was dull coated with Tester's dull coat. If you watch a previous video, I explain on the mixture on how to set up the dull coat and spray it on. So this is a very good example of the nice flat finish. It still does reflect a little light, but that's fine. It gives that nice matte, very flat matte finish. It's very smooth, but it also is very smooth, but it also has just enough tooth to grab our pan pastel. So this part on here in the front, we can show right here and see if I can get the camera to focus on it really good. So that right there has been done. That is one layer. And this is a layer that after I did it, I took it out to the paint booth and sprayed and sealed it. So this is a sealed layer. It's not real sharp. It's pretty, you can see it there. It's nice and spotty. And how it goes there. It's got lights, it's got darks, it's got a little bit of everything. And that is the final thing after the dull coating. So we can go from there, and we can start by getting some of this pan pastel out. Oop, bumping the camera. So we're going to go out that and start. Like I said, that's the final finish, what it looks like after it's dull coated. So it will reduce. It reduces a little bit after you apply it. So we'll get a brush here, find out what I want to use. I'm going to kind of go with this little chisel one. It's what I used kind of on the front of that one. And try to brighten this up a little bit. I don't know why camera went a little darker on me than I wanted. Not sure why. So let's go here. I don't know. Well, hopefully that still shows up good. Looks a little darker through my camera than it was earlier. Try to increase exposure. And it's not working. Alright, so we're gonna go on this roof here. You're just gonna kind of dab just general little areas. Kind of go from there. And you're just kind of making some random spots. It's pretty simple. Now we're gonna kind of dust that off a little bit. It's hard to do this through the camera. And you're gonna kind of stipple it different. You're just kind of going around and kind of give it that random lighter and darker spots. And the real trick to this is having that dull coated surface that's nice and flat and a little toothy. Something for that powder to grab onto. You just kind of work it the way you want it. Just kind of like that. Got different spots. I like how you said you can intermix colors in this too. A lot of these roofs get little rust spots here and there. You can bring in some red, show some rust. We'll go over some cool rust here in a few different videos on this technique. So there's a way to check this, see how that is. See if I can get it to focus there. See how that is there, kind of spotty. Now there's a way to check to see what it's going to look like after you dull coat it. If you take it and you breathe your breath onto it like a hot breath, it kind of puts it to that close what it's going to look like after the dull coating. So we did that. We got that. Camera must have shut off 4K, I'm guessing. It's not showing me. $20 into this, holy man. Long-winded. So while we're going here, we're going to do this. It just got to thinking about something. It's just pretty amazing on this hobby what we can achieve today than when I started. Because when I started weathering cars when I'm guessing my first couple cars I weathered, I was 11, 12 years old. Got a hold of my dad's airbrush and started working at it. Looking into magazines and seeing all the cool weathered cars back in the day. And back then, most everything, all the weathering was usually done with an airbrush. Wasn't all this fancy stuff we do today. But I got to thinking how much easier today that you can contact people with Facebook, YouTube. It's just boggling. So another trick here. Say you wanna put a more dark spot in it. So you think you got a little too light somewhere, especially when you're doing black. You grab your black and you can just kind of go at it, stipple it like that, and it brings the black back. You can go back in there, makes you a little darker spot. Really simple. It's kind of like that. We'll get the camera to focus on it. Really cool. So I guess moving on, like back at the grills. So if you wanna highlight the grills, you just kind of get a little on there. Just kind of drag down the grills. Same thing. Just highlight them grills up a little lighter. Do that rack around the grills. So I want to show you something here around. There's a couple panel lines on this one. So what we'll try to do is we'll do this panel line, do a couple pieces around here. Kind of blend them. Like I said, it looks a little bright there. Like I said, when you go to dull coat it, it cuts it. And the more you work it, this black out of the way. Go across that grill real quick. Need to get on the other side of that panel line too. Hopefully you can see that. And as much as I struggle with video, my other hobbies, I'm a photographer. I can take a still picture pretty good, but I'm not the greatest at video. Still photography is my thing. So let's get back a little bit farther on this back of this edge, and then we're going to bring some black into them lines. And it's a lot harder on this through the camera. Kind of blow your excess off. So we're kind of back behind. There's two panel lines there, so we're gonna go through and show you how to bring them back. Get that pretty cool look. Hopefully. Take one of the micro brushes. Just kind of put that pan pastel right along that black line, that panel line. Kind of stab it in there. Kind of go up along the edge of the cab would be another spot. Kind of come in. Kind of give that random look. And take another soft brush. Kind of tap it in there. So we can, how's that? Go to breath here. Yeah, that's looking cool. Like I said, you can put a couple different layers on it. If you get back and dull coat it and it goes a little light on you, you can always bring that back. So, and there's another thing you can take. You can make it spotty looking too you can work it with some witch hazel. Witch hazel is a cleaner for your face. It's really just a really low concentrate alcohol, or windshield washer fluid works too. That's one thing you can work the material around like that also. So hopefully, like I said, this panel here, look like that, and this is after dull coating. So that's a pretty nice effect. It's you can see it's a little more pronounced here on the cab. You go through, put the dull coat to it, you see how you like it. You can always come back. You can put another layer on it, you do it again. And sometimes you can even, if you don't handle your models a lot, you could just leave it and not dull coat it. But this putting that black in there on them lines, on all your panel lines and stuff, that helps bring them out and separate all those panels and give that nice dimensional look. So I really hope this video cleared up some stuff with the man in Switzerland. hopefully he can get a hold of some material and give this a try and see how he likes it. Like I said, you can do this with the rust colors too. It works just the same. So, all right. Well, thanks a lot for hopefully sticking with it for over 30 minutes. Sorry the video went out of 4K. It must have only run so many minutes and then trips out of 4K. So that's another look what we're coming with. So hopefully this helps you out. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good one. Thanks for the support.